My whole life, I feel like I've been kind of creative, and when I was a little girl, actually, I used to collect scenery pictures from around Canada. I used to collect calendars and day planners, and I would cut out the pictures and I would paste them all over my bedroom. And every time that we moved, I would carefully package up all the pictures and put them in my next bedroom. We moved around a lot in BC when I was young. My dad had jobs in all different places, and so I ended up living in a lot of these places that I had pictures of. And you know, I've always kind of dabbled in art here and there, but I sort of put away all of my art supplies when I was in my early 20s, and I had to work and do that. And yeah, so then a couple of years ago, I decided I kind of wanted to pull those back out again. I had a bit of extra time, and like I said, I was always really interested in nature, and so I thought I would try painting landscapes. And the first one I painted turned out pretty good, and I was like, oh, okay, I think I really like this. And then I kept trying different places, different kind of color combinations. I don't have any formal training. I'm self-taught, and so I didn't really know what I was doing at first. So a lot of my colors came out like really, really bright, and but then I kind of liked it, so I sort of developed my style that way. And yeah, it's been a really, really great journey so far. Painting for me is, it just really fills like my heart with actual happiness, and it's very relaxing for me. It's the one thing that I do, I think, that it's just really, really fulfilling. And yeah, so I've been part of this gallery now for about 15 months. Last February I started, February 2023, and so I had to wait very patiently for my solo show, and it's been really great watching all of my fellow collective members have their show. And I had a good amount of time to prepare. So this latest collection that I have has been about 2 years in the making, and it's a collection of different places kind of around Vancouver Island. And yeah, so some of them are actual places, some of them are kind of from memory, and some of them are actually from pictures. I named the show It's All About Perspective because it's sort of, life is kind of how you look at it, and I feel like when you're out in nature, it's kind of about how you look at it, and you see it through different perspectives. And a lot of my paintings are sort of set at different kind of perspectives. Once I started picking up painting again, I started painting with acrylic because that's what I had, and I found it really easy to work with. I really liked the bold colors of it, and I liked how fast it dried because I'm actually a pretty fast painter when it comes to how I lay down my paint. I paint back to front, so I start with my sky, and usually I'll sort of have an idea of what color sky that I want. Maybe I see one of my tubes of paint and I'm like, ooh, I like that color today, or whatever. Or sometimes I've seen a sunset or a sunrise and I was like, oh, I really want to try those colors. And yeah, so then I paint my sky, and sometimes it turns into something that I wasn't really planning on doing, and sometimes the colors actually turn out exactly how I planned. And then I paint clouds. So depending on what kind of mood I'm feeling, this one actually doesn't have any clouds in it, so sometimes I'll just kind of blend like the wispy colors into it. Then I'll place my clouds, and I'll finish painting those. And then I kind of roughly sketch in the rest of the actual landscape, and I start filling it in with colors. And I kind of do big block blocks of color. And then, to sort of tie it in all together, that's when I start doing the black outlining. And I very slowly do all the outlines, and I feel like it really kind of brings the painting together, and it really helps the colors pop a bit more. The pebbles take forever, but I think they're one of my favoriteest things to paint. You know, I start doing a whole bunch of little circles, and I kind of have a moment of like, oh my gosh, what have I started? But they really kind of help bring some extra color into the paintings. And I've tried oil before, and I thought about painting with oil, but again, it dries so slowly, and I am the most impatient person ever, so it doesn't work for me at all. Yeah, and like I said, I feel like I can achieve really bright color. When I first started learning how to paint, I'm a self-taught artist, so I didn't have any color theory knowledge really, other than kind of what I've learned, you know, through grade school, doing the color wheel, and so I didn't know how to mix colors. I didn't know. I wanted to do more realistic colors because I hate landscape, but I was squeezing, you know, straight colors out of the tube, and they were turning out way more saturated. But then I kind of really liked that, and so I sort of leaned into it. Some of my color palettes are very similar, so sometimes I'll pick a color like purple and then, you know, do the whole painting in kind of a purple tone. Other times I just kind of go with whatever I think or what I'm feeling at the moment. And that can be a frustrating process sometimes because I don't plan out my paintings, and so I'll start painting it, and then all of a sudden I think it looks terrible, and I get really frustrated. So then I can change it as I go. And again, that's the nice thing about acrylic is if you change your mind halfway through your painting, you can just slap a new color on there, and it works great. Yeah, and I like canvas. I know some artists paint on board or like a more stiff surface, but I actually really like that kind of that bounce. I find that it helps my my paintings kind of take shape. And fun fact, I only use angle brushes. I'm not even sure how that happened. I think that's just sort of what I had in my drawer, and I like the angle brush because I find it really gives a beautiful kind of flow or curve, and that's sort of how my style developed, I think, is because of that angle brush. And the reason why I picked landscape paintings, I think, was because I've always really felt connected to the land, and ever since I was a little girl, everywhere we would go or drive, I would go, oh, that's a really beautiful little spot, or I love the color of the water or the sky. And during the pandemic, when I had a bunch of downtime, somehow magically landscape paintings kind of started popping up in my feed on Facebook. And there was one artist, Nicholas Bott. He's a Canadian painter, and I loved his take on the landscape, and his pieces were super colorful, and his brushstrokes were really quite bold, but almost simplified in a way too. Like his shapes were very, I'm not sure how to describe it. Not simple, but his shapes were more kind of uniform, and I kind of made me want to try painting trees like that, but I couldn't get it like that at all, and my style turned out really different. But that's kind of where it started. And then, yeah, I had a whole collection of pictures and photos. Because I live on Vancouver Island, basically everywhere you go is super beautiful. So I started trying to paint places that I'd been to or from photo. Some places that I've painted are more of an imagination, so it's sort of something that I've sort of seen around, but maybe my memory just picks certain things about it that I really liked. And then other paintings are from actual places that I've been. A long-term goal, I think, for myself would be to go across Canada, actually, and each province in my style. So, you know, Alberta would be big skies, you know, the Rockies, and then Saskatchewan again would be big skies, you know, fields. Ontario, you know, Algonquin National Park, or Provincial Park. You know, the group of 7 also really inspired me. So to go to all the different places and do each province, I really want to paint icebergs. I think I would have a really cool style to do the icebergs. And then maybe later going down to the States and doing, you know, national parks. To go to the desert, you know, those big red rocks, and I would love to paint cactuses. I think I usually only paint, you know, coniferous and, you know, a few deciduous trees, but I think painting cactuses would be really, really cool. Yeah.